Hello, it's Amy from Swapwest. I thought I would try and use some of my newfound skills with technologies to show you the new Prep for HE. So you may have heard that we're working on a new Prep for HE, and really it's just a new format. The core of Prep for HE is still the same, that is asking students to think about their skills development and personal development, and to talk to you about that, talk to each other about how they're feeling, how they're doing, and to recognize when they need help and be willing to ask for it and all of that sort of thing. And asking them to reflect on it more formally through doing some sort of reflective exercise. Primarily for most people, that'll be writing. So that's all really the same. Students should complete some modules, and they should reflect on their learning, and they should share that with you. The way that they do it, though, is going to be a bit different. So we're moving away from the Word document packets that you had to like download and print out, or download and complete and then share those. And the formatting for that was always a little bit tricky to use. So we moved completely away from it. We were inspired by Glasgow Caledonian University's use of a software called Articulate 360. So we thought, why not try it? So we've tried it, and we think it's working okay, and we're getting good feedback. But we welcome your feedback on this as you take a look at it just now and introduce your students to it and see how they cope. We think it will be a good direction for us to go in. But hope to hear from you after you've watched this and maybe had a little play around in the Prep for HE unit yourself, which you're welcome to do. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to get to it, and the students can reach it in the same fashion by going to the SWAT website, scottishwateraccess.org. Click on West, and then click on Prep for HE. We've removed all the packets, and now we just have this giant thumbnail. Click the image below to access Prep for HE. And that takes us to, dun dun dun, Moodle. Back to Moodle. Much to my dismay, but hey, it works. So Moodle is where we're going to have the Prep for HE modules. So these are the packs, if you like, that the students will have to do. So they're SCORM packets in Moodle, and we are going to roll them out probably every one module or one new unit every couple of weeks or so. Was trying not to overload students prior to the Christmas break, and knowing that UCAS is on the horizon, so it's not going to be too heavy going in the first half of the year. And then we'll continue developing and releasing them as we go through the year. All right, so at the moment we just have a few available. The swap induction, which everybody should do, and then we're going to be adding supplements to that for particular curriculum groups. And so if a student is on one of the curriculum groups like nursing or primary education, then they should do both the swap induction and the supplement. The next one is the Introduction to Prep for HE, which introduces students to Prep for HE, which if you're not familiar with it or you want to see what the new one looks like, you can do yourself. So we'll go into that. So you just click on it. You should note that there's no login required. This was causing a little bit of confusion at first because people thought they needed to log in, or it said they were logged in as a guest. That's fine. They don't need to log in. So they click on Enter, and it launches a new window. And this is the quote-unquote course. It calls it a course. So the course, a little bit of information about that, and then an overview of the different lessons in it. All right, so you can click on a lesson, or you can just click on Start Course. It's fancy. And then just sort of scroll through and do a bit of reading. What Prep for HE is all about, why it exists. One of the cool things about this format is it allows the use of multimedia, so we're able to use all these clips, and you know me with my camera, and I've had it out for about 12 years out there taking pictures and talking to people and getting videos and stuff, so now we can use some of that. We also have some from some of our former students who are offering contributions, so doing little mini podcasts and things like that. So we think that that is going to be a really good way of involving students in the whole process, you know, thinking about how they've learned and then maybe offering their wisdom to next year's cohort. So this is one example of that.
Mentioned Prep for HE, which has been really beneficial, something that's what I don't use when I've had to do it. Let's do that name.
Higher education.
Oh no.
So that's a mother-daughter team, Katie and Miriam Duffin. Miriam was one of the first SWAP students who ever came through the program to do primary ed, and her daughter Katie did it 28 years later. So it's just a little video clip, but it kind of livens up the whole thing, we hope. And then there's more reading, obviously. So as they scroll along, you'll see that the content gets populated in, kind of like there's animations and things, just to keep it a bit more lively. Lots of input from students. So we've got excerpts and quotes and interviews and audio files and all sorts of things from students embedded in it. Who better to tell them what it's like? And all the student has to do is engage with that. So read and listen and watch and think. And then there's a few elements of sort of more interaction, so interactivity. And like this example, which after watching the clip above, so they watch this clip and listen to what the students advise, because these are students who spontaneously advised what to do with regards to Prep for HE and just being a successful student. So we took that and turned it into a kind of activity. So after watching that, you are directed to click and drag to sort the top card into the proper category below. Either yes, it sounds like a good idea, or no, it doesn't sound right. And then you get sort of instant feedback. So it makes it a little bit more dynamic. So what we ought to do is make it a priority to spend time with family while we're studying. Yep, sounds like a good idea. We should totally rely on our memory to keep up with deadlines while we're studying. No. If you notice a classmate is struggling, let them work it out on their own. No. Be sure to fit in some leisure time and fun socializing. Yes, sounds like a good idea. So at the end of this, they get a sort of instant feedback. Oh, I need to take drapes out. It's supposed to be curtains. Yes, keep track of deadlines. Yes. No. 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 There. And it tells you if you've got them correct, and you can replay it. So we're hoping that the rest of the modules as we go along will be able to kind of input a bit of that interactivity, make it a bit more fun, and also just make the students really think about what it's going to be like for them, and if it raises any issues for them and they need to talk to somebody, and so on. And a lot more visual as well, so maybe a little bit more interesting than blocks of text. As you get to the end of a lesson, there's usually a continue bar to carry on to the next lesson, and you'll notice on the left-hand side there's progress, the circle, and it completes when you move on to the next section, and you get a little tick mark in that to show you've completed it. And on to the next chapter. Again, reading and listening and watching and thinking about the issues, some links to other topics, and so on. And again, a lot of input from students. And then this is the part where we get to their reflection. So at this point, it asks them to click the button on the right to complete their reflection and planning activity. So this will be the evidence that they've completed this module. I have to say, I think it's going to need to move because it's halfway through the second bit and it probably needs to be at the end. So leave it with me. But just to show you what that looks like. If they click on that, it'll take them off the Moodle and over to our online form. They can fill in the online form. If they don't get a copy of this reflective exercise, the reflection that they do, if they don't get a copy of it in their email, it's probably because they put the wrong email address in. Swap will have a copy of all of them so that it can be retrieved, but just say to the students to make sure they double check that email address is correct. So they pick, if they're Swap East or West, they pick the college and campus where they're studying, their curriculum program, and the name of their class tutor. And then down here, we're actually going to give them a choice. They don't have to write if they don't want to. And I think that they should write, but you know, choices, choices. So they have a choice of format. So you can either respond to prompts that we set in writing, that's the default, or if they do their own reflective writing and or drawing, doing mind maps, things like that, they could scan it or take a picture of it and upload it as an attachment to an email. Or they could do their own voice or video recording, or they could link to their own blog if they've got a blog somewhere online, or even a vlog, a video log somewhere. They're a YouTuber. So they can link to their own content if you've got people like that in your class. We'll go with the default. So this is the first one. This is the kind of look back, look ahead, introduction to Prep for HE, and it really is a little bit of the old taking stock. How are you feeling? Are you having fun? Are you feeling optimistic, or are you worried about things? So, and then some space for them to do a bit of writing. Just a bit of reflection on how they're feeling. What have you enjoyed so far? Is there anything in particular you're not enjoying? What are you looking forward to? Is there anything that's concerning you? And do you have a plan for how you're going to cope with any worries or concerns you may have, etc.? And that's it. It's pretty, the first one is pretty straightforward and simple. When they're finished, get to the bottom, this is a mechanic of the forms that we use. So this is just one last opportunity to write something in if they want. And then when they hit submit, a copy of that reflection will go to their email box. And they will be able to then check their email. And there's a copy of all of their responses. This is one I did earlier. And so with that, as a student, it's my responsibility to keep up with this. I can copy and paste it into a Word document, or I could just label it in my inbox as a Prep for HE exercise, whatever, as long as I'm keeping my portfolio together. So the student's responsibility is to keep the portfolio of the evidence that they've engaged with the modules, they've thought about it and talked about it and read about it and written about it. So that's their evidence. As a tutor, you can decide if you want them to email that to you as they do them, or if you want to have them send it to you in advance of a guidance meeting or something like that. Your decision, but that's really the evidence, is their reflective exercise that they do at the end. So that's it. We are working hard to get some more modules out there, but we also don't want to overwhelm anybody. And we've got in mind that UCAS is looming on the horizon, and that will take up everybody's time and attention soon enough. So just to stay tuned, and we will email out when the new modules become available. As we roll them out, we'll email you and let you know that they're live, so then you can decide when you want to tell the students that they're there and ready to do. All right, bye for now.